Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people. Welcome back to the We Talk Football podcast. Now, something a little different today. Where's Kweku? I know you're asking. I've upgraded him with the best YouTuber in the game. The best West Ham YouTuber in the game. It's Ben Glander. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. You're too kind to me. You're too kind to me.
Oh,
Thank you
mate,
for having me on again.
it's all truthful. I've told you before, if I could trade you in for Kweku, I'd do it. But, he just keeps weaseling his way in. He knows. And I hope
Mate, I'm an expensive transfer. I'm just saying, I'm an expensive transfer. It'll break the budget. More than Mbappe, probably 180, 200 million, I'm saying.
Ben, this is a non-profit organisation, mate. We haven't got that kind of Right. Big game today. I thought we'd do a video on the score predictions because we got the game coming up against Sheffield United. West Ham looking to do the double against Sheffield United for the first time since 1967 under Ron Greenwood. What are you thinking, Ben?
I didn't even know that. Firstly, I didn't know that stat. So I'm glad you didn't ask me what year because I wouldn't have known. But I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tough game because obviously the scenario that we could be having Antonio out of the team, and with Yarmolenko being injured, then that means someone has got to go up front to fill that void. It could be Bowen, it could be Lingard, it could be anyone of really the front three, maybe even Ben Rama. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Antonio doesn't play, who Moyes is going to put up front. He might even go with Odebecker. I'd be very surprised if he done that because of his performance against Manchester United. Bless him. But obviously, he's our only out-and-out striker that is available if Antonio's not here. But Sheffield United, they've picked up some very good results lately. They've beat Manchester United away. They've beat West Brom at home. I can't remember if they played a game in between that West Brom result, but the last one I can remember is they beat West Brom. The must-win game, 2-1. It might have been last week or the week before, but yeah, they've sort of come into some good form as of late, and West Ham can't afford to sort of go down to their level, become complacent. We need to see a professional performance from West Ham today.
For sure, I totally agree. I've got all the stats for this one. Obviously, they've only won one of their last 12 against us away from home, and it's you only have to look at the last game we had against them to see how tough a proposition they were. Regardless of their position in the table, like you say, they have been picking up some form, and they've also been incredibly hard to beat all season. They're not the type of team to ship multiple goals. It took a moment of brilliance in the last game from Haller, to bag it top bins just to really get anything from that game. And I think it's going to be more of the same today. Having a striker as usual is not going to help us. It's going to harm us more than anything. Like you say, it'll be interesting to see who David Moyes does go with and starts up top because, it's troubling times. We're a different proposition without Antonio in the team. And obviously, I know he's in contention, but whether he starts or not, who knows? I think you said about all those players that could start up there. Who would you go with up top?
I would go Bowen. I'd go Bowen, and the reason why is because I feel like obviously we could put Lingard up there, but I feel like Lingard, we sort of need his creativity because this is going to be one of those games where Sheffield United are probably going to respect us more because of our position in the league. They're probably going to sit a little bit deeper. They're going to try and, shut up shop. A point to 3 points for them is very good. In fact, because of the results that we've seen, West Brom picking up a point, Fulham beating Everton, it's probably almost a must-win game for Sheffield United. So we could maybe see them be a little bit more expansive. However, I do expect West Ham to have a lot more of the ball there. So therefore, I would start Bowen up top and Lingard a little bit deeper. So he's probably going to have a lot of the ball tonight. But I just think, Bowen, he's been out of form. There's some debate whether he's actually injured because apparently he has actually picked up a niggle or so in recent games and he's continued playing on with that niggle. Or, it's just one of those things where he's out of form and he sort of needs to recapture that. He has played up front before, and I think that was one of his main positions for Hull City he was like behind the striker, someone who gets into the box, plays very close to behind the striker. Sort of almost like a Dele Alli kind of role. Do you remember, like sort of the second striker then arrives late and whatnot, and he's sort of that kind of player, played more centrally than he does actually do at West Ham. So for me, I would probably put Bowen because he can stretch defenses. He's quick enough. He's not rapid. Like he's quick, so he brings that element of the game that West Ham will still need. And I think he's probably, he probably needs a goal or so to sort of bring that confidence back, because I feel like at the moment this season, whilst he has done well in terms of assists, he does take a lot of the corners and goals. I do think at times he sort of tries too hard rather than just letting it naturally happen, if that makes sense.
Of course. I totally agree with you. I think Bowen, as much as I like Bowen, the thing that's become very apparent for us this year when we have at times, obviously we're a very counter-attacking side, and the one problem I have with Jarrod Bowen is that sometimes it looks like he plays football with the blinkers on. He's very, very 1 foot dominated, obviously dominant, I should say. Obviously, they call him Robin.
Iron Bowen.
Iron Bowen, that's it. Yeah, they call him Iron Bowen, obviously, because he's so left foot dominant. The problem is I don't think he has that clinical touch, if I'm honest, and relying on him in a game against Sheffield United, when I think the chances may be sparse because they are quite hard to break down. I don't know how much I trust Jarrod Bowen to, notch one, get one chance and notch one. At the same time, I also don't trust him enough to, look up when he gets the ball in an attacking position to find someone else.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, if I was going to start anyone, I would go with Yarmolenko. Now, obviously, Yarmolenko isn't the player he was a couple of years ago, but I think he's the best option that we have. I think the one thing that he does have is I think he can put the ball in the back of the net. He's very he hasn't done it this season, but his left foot is, I think you give him 2 chances, he might notch one. You give Jarrod Bowen one, he might sky a higher one and then notch the third. Do you know what I mean? I just think there's a little bit more clinical finishing in Yarmolenko. If I'm completely honest, that's the best of a bad situation though. We both want Antonio to be playing. It's just fingers crossed he does come through on a fitness test and he is starting, because I think if he starts, that completely changes our outcome in the game.
So what would you do? What would you do if Yarmolenko's injured? Because Yarmolenko is injured.
Oh, of course he is. Oh,
I didn't want to interrupt you halfway through.
Fucked it, innit? Of course he did. He got into like oh my god.
Yeah. So what would you do if
what plastic? Innit? Just a massive plastic, me. Right. No, what is it? Yeah, it's gonna be Bowen then, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like
everything I just said for the last 2 minutes, Ben. I do support West Ham, I promise. But yeah, no, it's got to be Bowen. Like I said about Lingard, I think Lingard obviously hasn't shown it at Manchester United in the last couple of years due to lack of opportunity, but I think he possesses an ability to find space that other West Ham attacking midfielders possibly do not. Again, I would like Ben Rama in a more hole behind the striker alongside Lingard, really to just to create that space, pass balls through the lines and stuff like that. I think I'd rather, if you put one of them up front, you lose that attacking creativity. You know what I mean? You could argue you could bring Lanzini in to replace one of them both, but I think those two are banging form. Leave them there. Maybe bring Bowen off the bench, and then I think. What's a muppet? I can't believe I said Yarmolenko.
I think there's an argument for Odebeku though, because as you said, opportunities are going to be limited. When this guy, he's someone that's highly talented. He was at Manchester United. He's someone that is very good on either foot, left or right foot. And if you've seen some of the goals he scored, he is very competent on both feet. And whilst he come under a lot of slack and criticism against Manchester United, but you got to think this guy's 18. He's still growing into an adult body. He still needs to fill out. He's playing against Harry Maguire and Lindelof, who are experienced, not just experienced Premier League defenders, but experienced defenders at international level. So they know what to do in terms of positioning themselves, ruffling up some feathers in regards to the strikers. So
you could also argue as well in that game, the way we set up.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You could have put any striker in that hole. Like, obviously, it was a baptism of fire for an 18-year-old that was in a formation and, like an attacking setup where he wasn't going to get the ball that much. He was going to be chasing, chasing the ball around. Yeah. He wasn't really put in a position to flourish. He's not the same player that Antonio is. He's clearly not that guy, and expecting him to do a role similar to that is in his first game. He was set up to fail. If he succeeded there, it was You know what I mean? Like it's win-win scenario for David Moyes because it brings him on. Oh, he's too young, wasn't ready. If he scores a goal, oh, it was masterclass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's one of the things. I'm not writing off Odebeku yet. You know, there's Man United scouts or coaches at the time that they were choosing between him and Greenwood, weren't they? And they chose Greenwood. Obviously, Greenwood's turning out to be an amazing prospect, but the amount of goals that Odebeku was scoring at youth level, you know, like you would assume, it doesn't always, but you would assume that he'll be able to translate that somewhat into adult football. I know people are going to throw Dominic Solanke at me and things like that, but like, you know, like more often than not, people that flourish at youth level do end up doing okay in the big leagues.
I suppose
carry on.
I just think, like, you know, if a chance is going to fall to a striker who's playing up front, you've got the argument there. You'd rather it fall to someone who's naturally competent in front of the goal, rather than someone who's like Bowen, who is maybe more suited to the wide player role, being converted into a striker to fill a void. And West Ham are expected to have more possession and be the one that's on the front foot against Sheffield United. So he's going to have to, you know, contribute more in terms of off the ball, in the ball, on the ball, being a presence up front, you know, harassing the Sheffield United defenders rather than sort of, you know, playing in a system that isn't attack minded, sort of being isolated when West Ham get the ball when he gets the ball. So yeah, there's definitely an argument I think for Odebeku, but I think I might just go with Bowen. I think to go up front.
Yeah. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. I suppose the next thing is, what do you think the final score is going to be?
I think it's going to be close. I think it's, you know, we beat them 1-0 last time, as you said. Haller scored a really good goal. We lost to them last season at Bramall Lane. We drew with them at home, I think, 1-1. So the games that we've played against Sheffield United, based on Premier League history of the recent years, it's been, you know, the last 2 years, shall I say, it's been relatively close. So I think it's going to be a very close game again, especially if Antonio doesn't play. I'm going to go with 1-0 West Ham.
1-0?
Yeah, 1-0, yeah.
So
I think we're going to scrape our way through to fourth in the league for a couple of hours before Chelsea play Newcastle.
Okay. West Ham are unbeaten in their last 19 against sides in the bottom of the Premier League table. I'm coming with stats today. All right.
You are, mate. You're stat.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Well, they mean jack shit, but I'd say, I think we're going to make it 20 in a row. Again, I do think it's going to be a close game, like you were saying, and like we were obviously alluding to all the previous points. I feel like if Antonio plays, I feel like the game does go a little bit outside the realms of Sheffield United's possibilities. But I think if he doesn't start, I think it'll be a lot more closer. I will go with a solid 2-0 win, I think, just because I want to back the boys, and I feel like it's in the stars with Liverpool losing. If we win, we go to fourth in the table, pending if Chelsea lose as well.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
Final thing as well. If, for example, Antonio does pass his fitness test, and would you start him or would you put him on the bench and maybe bring him on last 20? Because he apparently has felt his hamstring. So would you start him or would you be a little bit more cautious, maybe give him 20 minutes, half an hour towards the end? Because we have got Tottenham on Sunday, and we hate Tottenham, don't we?
Oh, we hate Tottenham. We hate Tottenham. Yeah, depending on the outcome of his fitness test and how how vulnerable he is, like how likely he is to re-injured, I would say that not starting him would probably be better. Obviously, if he comes back and he's raring to go, I would like to see him start. The one problem with David Moyes is that he does substitutions maybe 10, 15 minutes too late. So
yeah. So he's bringing him on in the 87th minute when we're losing 1-0.
Exactly.
To be fair, he has improved. He has improved lately. I feel like he has improved lately. I think against Manchester United, just going off tangent, he has improved lately in terms of substitutions, but we saw this still there because I feel like Ben Rama and Lanzini come on like 10, 15 minutes too late.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he has proved, but he does show glimmers that he's still kind of there in his bloodstream. For
sure. I think, just talking about that, I think in terms of David Moyes as a general, the only real criticism I have, I don't want to call him, I don't feel like this is going to sound very harsh, but like I feel like when we play the bigger sides, you can see like when we lined up against Liverpool or even when we lined up against United, there was almost like a lack of ambition. In terms of how he set up the team and how he was almost resigned to defeat. You know, when we were losing in the Liverpool game, for example, the substitutions he brought on then were indicative of, we're going to lose this game. We're just not going to concede anymore. And then we went and conceded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the only real like grump I would have with him, you know, like, but I think he's done a solid job, and yeah, substitutions are improving. And at the end of the day, what the fuck am I talking about? Because if we win this game, we go to 4th in the table. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think So we're both tipping a West Ham win. You're going 1-0. I'm going to go 2-0. Yeah, I think that's all we got to say, people. So yeah, I'll probably check in after the game on Twitter or something as usual. Check Ben out on his socials. Where can they find you, Ben?
BG West Ham, pretty simple on Twitter. And just Ben Glander on West Ham on YouTube. That's it.
He's a top don. He's a very good guy. Always puts out videos, and I get my West Ham information from him, guys. So if you're a West Ham fan, go check him out. So yeah, cheers, guys. I'll catch you whenever the next video is out. Cheers.